I'm back with another race analysis, and this time I'm going to analyze the T52 women's 100 meter. This is for the request of one of my athletes, Erin Sari. She's a brand new T52 athlete and is getting the ropes on here. So I just figured we're going to look at the Rio 100 meter final. So we have a great lineup here. Lane 4, we got Michelle Stilwell from Canada, who I actually had the high pleasure of working with her between 2010 and 2014, and I really got to know her really well. An exceptional athlete who pays a lot of attention to detail, and I would say one of the very top T52 women's. Unfortunately, she retired now, or after those games. But for sure, one of the great T52 athletes that's ever been around. Uh, Lane 5, we have Carrie Morgan from the States. Lane 6, Yuka Kiyamata from Japan. Lane 7, Marieke Vervoet from Belgium. She actually was the Paralympic champion in London for the 100 meters. So there she beat Michelle, and I know that was not sitting well with Michelle. So she definitely was looking for revenge here. So it's going to come down between those two women. And then in lane 8, it's Birte Saat from Singapore. She's coming in with the slowest seating time. So let's just do a quick equipment check here. We got one athlete, Marieke, with full disc wheels, and all other 4 athletes are on the 4 or the quad spoke wheels. You can't quite tell from here, but they're actually 4 of the athletes are wearing hard gloves, and then the athlete in lane 8, she's wearing a harness soft glove. They're all kneeling position. So that's what we tend to see now for the very top ones. They're in kneeling position. They're just about to start. Typical start position, heads low. You can see Carrie, she even puts it really low. Elbows out, so you get lots of pressure onto your rim, so you get a nice, powerful first push. All right, I'm just going to play it here, and we'll stop it at around 10 meter mark. So away they go in this 100 meters final. All right, so we're at 10 meters now. You can see that actually the athlete from Belgium, Marieke Vervoet, had a bit of a better start than Michelle did. So she got out a little bit faster. She's with the full disc wheels, which is quite surprising because generally the 4-spoke wheels are a little lighter, so they should be better for starting. But Marieke really had a great start on this one. She's quite powerful through her arms, and her lean forward is good too. You will see later on that Michelle's strength is actually her frequency and her push. She's got the quick hands, or the fast hands as we call it, and that will really make that difference between 40 and 80 meters. So here at 10 meters, it's a race between Michelle, Carrie, and Marieke from Belgium. The other 2 athletes are already a bit behind, Yuka from Japan and Bintisar from Singapore. If I look at Bintisar, I actually think her chair is almost a bit too wide for her. You can tell how she really has to put her elbows out still. She should be able to get closer. I think that her chair setup might be a little bit wide. Now, it could be due to her anatomy, so that she has really wide hips and needs to have that wide of a chair, but it's definitely not the best power transfer you can see there. Now here we are at about the 30 meter mark. Michelle really between 10 and 30, she made a bit ground here, so you see Marieke falling behind. And just as I said before, Michelle has an incredible frequency. It's around 130 to 135 beats strokes per minute, where the other 2 ones they probably range around 125. So you can imagine that Michelle just gets a little more acceleration. Interesting to see too, though, that Carrie and Mareke are a bit more forward, and Michelle is sitting a little bit more upward. So the forward position would be more aerodynamic and probably gives you a better start, where the upward position gives you a little bit more control over the chair. And you'll see later on actually why I'm addressing this here. So we're at the 40-meter mark, 50. And just here, just right before, you can actually see, I'm going to play this again. Michelle made some slight adjustments here, just very slight hip adjustments. That was due to going to one side a little bit, but she kept her frequency going. She never stopped, okay? And she obviously never touched that bar. So you never want to touch that front bar, even if you're getting off slightly. You have to be able to make little adjustments with your hip. The other two athletes are falling really close behind. I'm liking how Carrie and Mareke both have good extensions. Now, because they are sitting really low, it does allow them to go quite far down in their extension, where Michelle doesn't have quite the extension. But again, it works for her. She obviously is ahead, and she's going to end up winning this race. So there is more. There's the perfect technique, but then there's also a technique that gets you the fastest from point A to point B, and that in the end is what matters. So here we're at about 90 meters. Michelle is quite a bit ahead. I think there's not much chance that she's going to be touched by the other two athletes, but it's still pretty close. We have Marieke and Carrie battling for second. 10 meters. And done. So she goes all the way through. She pushed right all the way through until the very end. And then you'll see Carrie and Marieke battling it out for the third place. Now, if I look at this, I actually think Marieke is sitting too much forward. I think her shoulders are almost lower than her butt. I think that her shoulders should be a little bit higher, in my personal opinion, because there comes a point where the efficiency is just not there anymore when you're sitting too much. Really liking Carrie's position. I think it's somewhere between Michelle and Marieke's position. So that was a win for Michelle. I think she was pretty happy. Just looking at the last pusher coming in here. Again, I said I think her setup is a little bit too wide. It could be improved on. Getting a narrower chair and then being able to really reach all the way down. Michelle pretty happy. So she's going just under 20 seconds. All top three athletes are under 21 seconds, and then there's a big gap. It's 24 and even 29 seconds after that. So here we see the start again. All three, the top athletes are ahead. Now, having said that, the two of those three have retired. Marieke and Michelle are still not in there anymore. But I do think in the T52s, you got to go 24 seconds and under to be somewhere of a medal contender, even without having them be in the races anymore. Here we see again how Michelle had to adjust. A little to the right, a little to the left. Of course, that's going to cost you a little bit of time, but it's her frequency in her hand speed that really makes that difference in the 100 meters. Nice flick at the end there with the hands, you can see. Again, I would like to see a little bit of a better extension, and that's always been a bit of her weakness. Here it's actually pretty good, but when she tries too hard, she just doesn't extend fully out, so it doesn't get as much out of the rim as you could. Okay, so this is a little bit of an analysis. I hope you enjoyed, and